the Marvel Champions podcast, a podcast about Marvel Champions, the card game. I'm your host, Scott, and with me, as always, my co-host, Ryan.
Hello, sir. Are you ready for a Wolverine review? Oh, wait, sorry, hold on. I mean, X-23 review.
We've already done an X10, just X, Weapon X.
X gonna give it to you?
X gonna give it to you, review. So I was just thinking,
Starring Vin Diesel.
We've got multiple. Oh, that was Triple X.
That was Triple X. Vin Diesel.
We got a few different clones in this wave.
That's true.
Can you name
Very
another
true.
clone in this wave? It's not a hero, if that helps you any.
Are you talking about Honey Badger?
Well, is she a clone? I have no idea what Honey Badger. I was thinking of Strife.
Oh yeah, he is a clone. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes. The wave of clones.
This is the clone wave. You've heard of the Clone Wars? This is the clone wave.
The Attack of the Clone wave.
All right. Well, with it being a clone, Ryan, is X-23 just like Wolverine, or is she just different enough to make her fun to play? Or do you just say, I've played Wolverine before. Why do I need to play X-23?
That's a great question. Now, before we get into it, did you like Wolverine?
I did like Wolverine. I think when we got Mojo Mania and Storm and Wolverine, I think I played Wolverine through that first mini campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a lot of fun. He's a little bit of setup with a lot of bit of damage.
A lot of bit,
yeah.
Yeah, he was a surprise hero because I was very much anticipating a attack heavy zero thwart, and he actually has a decent thwart.
Yeah, he can hold his own with thwart. He can feel like he struggles a little bit at times, but I think he's got enough. Or you can just go full steam ahead with damage to not have to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
Or you're just beefy enough to just stay in hero form.
Yeah. But I do agree. I think Wolverine is a fun hero. So how does he compare to X-23 is the question. Though I don't think we should compare them because they're not the same. But
yeah, I was going to say, I think you asked that question wrong. I think the better question is, how does she compare to him? Or like, is she just like him? And I think you've kind of alluded to it that she definitely is not a Wolverine clone.
Yeah. So
unless you're talking about the comic books, then she is.
Yes. So card game wise, not quite the same. It does have a lot of similarities. So X-23 is very much a attack focused hero, but kind of goes about it a little different than Wolverine does.
Yeah, I think how they did her kind of healing, I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was different enough, yet similar but different.
Makes sense.
She does have a similar damage as a resource kind of mechanic, which is different but similar, but not the same. I think one of the big things that I like in the difference of the two is her cost curve is incredible.
Yes.
For her player kit cards.
Yes. Her highest cost card is 2 cost, and she has, I think, 3 of them.
Yep, 3.
And the rest are 1 cost or 0 cost.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, versus Wolverine, he's got a 4 cost, he's got some 3 cost.
Yeah, a lot of his attacks are like 2 3s.
And so like Wolverine, his main thing was you take damage, but it's to pay for the cost of an attack event. Where X-23 doesn't have an attack event, but you take damage to increase her base attack.
That's the big thing with these two is Wolverine's very attack event heavy, and she is very basic attack value, basic attack stat is how you make her efficient and just a killing machine.
Yeah, yeah. And even without an attack event, she is a pretty solid killing machine.
Right. And we'll dive a little deeper, but her ability to raise that, and then most characters, you think once you do like one basic action for your turn, you're pretty much done. But she has ways that she can activate multiple times with a base stat, which is really nice.
Yeah. And her other main mechanism is her ally, Honey Badger, which is designed specifically to ready X-23 to fuel her base attack. So,
right. Do you know why?
Why?
Because Honey Badger don't care.
Honey Badger don't care. That's
Walked
right.
into that one. Sorry.
Yeah, I did. I walked straight into it. Kind of like a garden rake. I just stepped on it and it just flew up and hit me right in the Honey Badger face.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's pretty solid. So let's talk about a few of the cards. I think we need to talk about her main card, which is her claws. She comes with it. It's permanent, but it kind of gives you the idea of what she's focused on, which is she takes 2 damage. She gets to attack until the end of the round. So it's your fuel to keep moving forward, with attack, and then that couples with her hero ability, which is after she takes damage, she gets to ready once per phase. And I think that's a key note right there, is once per phase.
Right. Well, for that ability, it's once per phase. She does have other ways, which you kind of alluded to, where she can ready more.
Yeah.
But her ability, and I do like that it's a response, so you can determine when you choose to trigger it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like a force response with the first instance of damage, because she has her claws that can cause damage, and then she'll have a resource generator that we'll talk about that can cause damage. Because I always found this weird balance of when to activate the claws with when to ready.
Mm-hmm.
Because by taking the 2 damage to get the 2+ attack, is it worth it to take the ready or do that like straight away? Because then you have to find another form of damage to ready. Or do you balance it with like a 2 thwart here, go ahead and do the claws, now you're stood up, now you're at a base of 3 attack, and then you do your attack action?
Yeah, there's good decision points with that combination and how you go about it, and if you can find other ways to take damage so you don't have to use that, or you use that and trigger the ready another time, kind of thing. Like with Honey Badger, who when she does her, when Honey Badger takes any damage, she readies X-23, so it's another opportunity to ready. But do you want to do the X claws so you can get the +2 attack, ready with Honey Badger, attack again, find a way to take damage to ready again, and then attack again, kind of thing. So you're potentially doing like, I don't know, 9 damage if you had it all worked out perfectly, or plus, depending on what's going on.
Right, and like that scenario there really is not like out of the ordinary. Like that's almost like a standard turn for her.
Yeah, it is very common. I do find it pretty thematic. She takes damage, she gets frustrated and angry, and unleashes.
I do like
so I think
that.
I think it's a very thematic ability for her. Because I know for some of the heroes, the abilities aren't necessarily thematic. I mean, you can try to spin it in some way, but ultimately it's a card game, so the designers do their best. But I think this one does hit the mark of taking damage and readying.
Right. So I was just going to talk about her resource generator, Grim Resolve. It's a 1-cost upgrade. You exhaust it, you take 1 damage, then you get to generate a wild resource. I found myself using that as my 1, because it was only 1 damage as opposed to the 2 with the claws sometimes. Like if I wanted to kind of save a little bit of health, if I knew I wasn't going to be able to play another card to kind of boost her stats, I would use this one. because it's just not as much damage. And you get the wild
Gotcha.
resource, which is nice. With her low cost curve, that helps to play more cards out of your hand.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Did you say Grim Resolve or did you say Clarity of Purpose?
Oh, Clarity of Resolve.
Clarity of Resolve, yes. There's a
Grim
joke there.
Purpose.
Yeah, Grim Purpose. There's a little joke because Clarity of Purpose is a leadership upgrade that does the exact same thing.
Is it worded the exact same thing?
Let's see. Exhaust this card and take 1 damage. Generate a wild resource. Clarity of Purpose is attached to a friendly character. Exhaust this card and deal 1 damage to attached character. Generate
So there's a
wild resource.
slight difference there. The Grim Resolve, you do have to take the 1 damage. So if something blocks it or force interrupts it, you can't generate. And the Clarity of Purpose, you just have to deal it in order to.
Correct. And it is a hero resource, where her Grim Resolve is technically just a resource. So if she took damage in Alter
Oh,
Ego,
that's
it
true.
would technically count.
Right. But you don't get the benefit in Alter Ego.
You don't get the damage benefit for her. Yeah.
You don't get
But
the
you still get the resource.
You still get the resource. You just don't get like the ready.
Yeah,
if that's what you're using the damage for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I don't think I noticed that. Good catch, Ryan.
Yeah, I think it's a good card to have in her kit. It allows her to basically have a Clarity of Purpose with her at all times, and that's a good card. I like Clarity of Purpose, so I think the other big one that fits her deck that's, I think, probably in the top 3, if not the number 1 and most important upgrade in her kit, is Pain Tolerance. And that's a superpower 2-cost upgrade after you play an X-23 card, including this one. Heal 1 damage from her identity. I think that fuels her ability to stay in hero longer and fuel those her claws being able to be used.
I agree. Because if you're hopefully playing at least one X-23 card every turn, you should be able to kind of negate that Grim Resolve resource generation, which is nice.
Yeah. I found every single game when that wasn't out, there was a little bit of like, do I do this or this? Do I take the damage? Because there was times where I never even used my claws because I couldn't afford taking the damage. But once I had that out, I felt like I was able to fully operate her playstyle.
I agree with you. My games felt totally different when I got that out early in the game versus to like middle or late game.
Yeah. It's a game changer for her.
It does change the way you kind of play that damage mechanic as a resource a lot.
Yeah, and it's nice to have a different form of healing for a character that is X-Men or Wolverine. Since Wolverine just heals automatically, that's his thing. Where she has a different form that still is pretty effective.
Right. Since we're on health, this is kind of like random little sidebar. I do like her recovery is 6.
Oh yeah,
that's really nice. If you do have to flip down and recover, you can recover a large majority of a health.
Yeah,
more than half, which is nice.
Yeah, I think she needs that, especially once you get, like, say, like an endurance on her, or you get her other upgrade that gives her health, adamantium lacing. Having that extra health really benefits her, for sure.
So adamantium lacing, they kind of, they split. I feel like they gave you kind of a little bit of 2 things with that one. So you only get 2 hit points, which doesn't seem like a lot. But then you gain Retaliate 1 and Piercing. Your basic attacks gain Piercing.
I think that's a really good card for the cost of 1.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's very powerful. Because especially with her ability being able to ready once per phase, if you just take 1 damage when the villain attacks, you ready, you give them a damage, your attack's gaining piercing, you get that 2 health. I mean, that's a pretty strong combo for her.
Yeah, I did find myself playing her a little bit like Quicksilver in that
Mm-hmm. Yep.
area. Like, I kind of wanted to take a damage so I could at least defend and reduce that by one, or sorry, by
Mm-hmm.
two. She has a defensive two. So then I would be more likely to maybe only take the one damage and then ready, which was nice.
Yeah.
I did like playing her that way.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to her alter ego real quick because this will lead into two other cards. So her alter ego ability is you get to shuffle Honey Badger or Sisterly Bond event from your discard back into your deck, and then you get to draw a card. I wanted to segue that into first Sisterly Bond, which is a 0-cost event, which is when Honey Badger thwarts or attack, you can add X-23's matching power to Honey Badger's power for that use. Did you feel like that was useful?
You just stole the words out of my mouth. I was gonna do a hot takes
Oh,
segment.
well, the reason why I wanted to lead this because the next question, I think you're going to have a fun hot take with it.
So, in my opinion, take it as you will. I
Oh,
feel like this is her team up card, and it's it never worked for me. I think I played it never. I just I never it was never out, and Honey Badger was out. And now that I kind of look over her a little more, I think I play X-23 different than she was kind of designed. Like, it seems like they want you to put out Honey Badger like every turn, and I
mm-hmm.
just didn't play her that way. So, to me, for a lot of the times I would play, Honey Badger would be like one ready and a chump block. And then if I got around to getting her back in my deck or back in my hand, I might get around to it. But I would never
Yeah,
have Sisterly Bond and Honey Badger out at the same time in order to play that card.
yeah. I would agree that Sisterly Bond it just was kind of a miss. I didn't play it very often. Maybe I played it once or twice, but I felt like there was more I could do that I didn't need to use that kind of thing. So, but that leads into the next one, hot take. What is your hot take on Honey Badger? Because I've heard it, but the people have not.
So, 2 cost is nice. A 2 cost ally with 2 health, 1/1, kind of a standard 2 cost. Her hero response, you ready when she takes any amount of damage. So most of the time it's going to be her 1 consequential, whether she thwarts for 1 or attacks for 1. There was some ruling somewhere out in the interwebs that said that if she dies, then you can't hero response. So even though she takes consequential damage a second time, because she's not alive, the hero response doesn't function. And I could be totally wrong, but that's what I saw. So I'm going to go with it. So she's only good for 1 ready, unless you're playing some type of leadership deck, or I know the mutant or X-Men has a lot of good attachments for allies. So unless you're
Mm-hmm.
supering her up in some way, which I just never built the deck to focus on that, which I probably should go back and do. I just felt like that mechanic they were going for, I never really felt like I could get going or wanted to rely on. I found other ways to make X-23 ready more often, more frequent, or consistently.
Yeah. I will note it is kind of weird that X-23 is X-Force and Honey Badger is X-Men. So it creates some weird dynamics.
Yeah, I found that interesting too, because there's some of those cards where like you can exhaust X-Men characters and deal damage based off of like all their values and stuff. Like, that would have been a fun card to play. But X-23 is X-Force.
Yeah. So, what are some other cards that stood out to you? I think there's only 1, 2, 3, 5 cards that we haven't talked about. Do you want to run through those 5 real quick?
All right, I'll go with her Claw Mastery.
Good
So her
choice.
Claw Mastery is a 1-cost event. Hero action until the end of the round. X-23 gains +2 attack, and her attacks gain overkill while Honey Badger is in play. I liked this card. This is one that, if I knew I was going to be playing, I was planning to use my Claws hero action, so I could for sure be at a 5. So then I can do that early, do my 5, ready with some other way of taking 1 damage, and then having another 5. You get 3 of them, which is nice, so you see it a little more often. It's kind of like a way to make your claws, because you get the +2 without taking the damage.
Yeah.
But the max 1 per round limitation, I definitely get it. It would be too powerful to stack those.
Yeah. For sure. That is the bread and butter of her big attack turns, for sure. And technically her thwart turns too, if you have it all set up.
Yeah. No, you segued right into the other her thwart card. If I knew I was going to be able to, play that, soup up her attack value, then she has Animal Instinct, which is nice at a 0-cost event. It says Hero Interrupt. When X-23 makes a basic thwart, she gets +X thwart for this thwart where X is equal to her attack. And it's not just you use her attack value, you add X.
Yeah.
So you're going to have the base plus, in that case, which we just kind of talked about, 5. So you'd be at a 7th thwart, which is crazy.
And I know we talked about that she has no attack events, but she technically doesn't have any thwart events either. That is her thwart card, but not a thwart event.
Correct. The interrupts is not a thwart. It's her basic thwart is still the thwart action.
Yep. So that is an interesting take, and I felt like it worked. I felt like I could thwart with her. So
it played different. Her thwarting plays different in that way. Like, normally when we play, we like to keep the thwart very well managed. But I feel like with Animal Instinct, you kind of wanted it to creep a little, so that then you could just kind of push it all down. Yeah.
Yep.
And you weren't, thwarting for 7 for 3 thwart, 3 scheme on the main scheme.
Yeah, for sure. The other card, I'll just go through this one real quick. Regenerative Longevity. It was good. It was a nice little heal card that you can heal X-23 and Honey Badger, which was nice to try to keep that combo going. It's a solid little card.
Yeah, having some built-in healing.
Yeah,
is nice for a low cost healer, and you can spread the heal, which is nice.
Yeah. The other card I really like, Puncture Wound. It's an upgrade. So you attach it to an enemy that X-23 or Honey Badger attacked this turn. An attached enemy gets -1 attack, and then there's a force response after that. The player phase begins, discard that card, and deal 3 damage to attached enemy. I really like that delayed interaction, plus the benefit of having it attached to an enemy. I'm a big fan of this card. I kind of wish there were more cards similar to this. It almost has like the tactic cards that Cyclops likes.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit too of like Nebulous Techniques a little bit.
Yeah,
you kind of put it out, it just kind of sits there, but then it does something a little bit down the road, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I really like that card. I wish there were more just player cards, whether an aspect or basic, that has this kind of mindset to them.
Yeah, and I think thematically it's kind of cool. She's got her claws. She either scratches you or pokes you. So it has a lasting effect on getting stabbed.
Yeah. Well, I saved the best card that has a joke for last.
Are you talking about the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants card she
The
has?
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants card, yes.
Mm.
I don't know if anyone else does it, but if they don't, they will now. That every time we play this card, we're like, all right, I'm going to play the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, or I'm going to activate Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. You got to. You
just have to. It's just, it is what it is now.
I'm pretty sure it's in the rules reference now.
Yeah,
The new
it's
update
even,
that
it's
came
even
out.
on the card. It says action, exhaust Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and
Yeah,
discard
there
an
you go.
X-23 card from your hand. Search your deck and discard pile for Honey Badger and add her to your hand. Then you shuffle.
Yeah. I will say Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants is a good card. Whether you want to utilize Honey Badger, it's a card draw when it comes down to it.
Yeah, whether you needed a player or just use her as a resource.
Yeah.
So the other thing,
I mean, it's not like a full card draw because you're discarding a card, but you potentially are getting more of what you want.
yeah, and the other thing that's nice about it is that it's only an action, and I don't know if that was an oversight or on purpose. Most kind of player kit supports are typically alter ego actions. Based off like the card art too, it makes you think like they're just kind of like watching Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants on their iPad, and that she's an alter ego. But
yeah,
you can do this on either side.
They must be watching the Sisterhood movie.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think it's a pretty solid little support, and because it wouldn't be great in my opinion if it was alter ego, but because it is an action, it does become a more useful card for sure.
And this kind of harkens back to what I was saying earlier. Like I just didn't. There were so many other things that I wanted to play in her deck that this combo, in essence, you can pretty much get her out every turn if she's not out already. But do you think? Well, here's my only other question with this one for you, Ryan. Do you think that the discarding of an X-23 card from your hand is a significant cost for that to do for that turn?
Discarding of that card?
Yeah, because it has to be an X-23 card. So let's say, like, in best case scenario, you have Pain Tolerance down, Adamantium Lacing down, Grim Resolve down, and Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants down. Then you have, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards that'll be kind of cycling through. How often do you think you're going to have that actually an X-23 card in your hand and not playing that card and gaining a health, gaining its benefit versus being able to go fetch Honey Badger?
I think for me, I see your point. I think when it comes to later in the game, the cards that I would start using it for is maybe a Claw Mastery, because you can only play one a turn. So if you had two, one of them's useless. Boom, maybe you can use that to get Honey Badger going.
So let me give you this scenario too. So you're in hero form, 5-card hand.
Okay.
You have to toss the X-23 card. Now you're down to 4 cards. Then you get Honey Badger in your hand. You're back at 5. Then you have to pay 2 plus Honey Badger. So now you're down to 2 cards.
Okay.
I guess maybe with her low cost curve, it's not awful.
Well, you still have
Grim Resolve.
Yeah, you have Grim Resolve, which potentially is going to give you an extra one. I think the benefit, I think you and me both didn't benefit from it as much because we focused more on her attack without utilizing Honey Badger as like our primary focus.
Sure.
And so, but if you do focus on Honey Badger a lot more, then this being able to just get Honey Badger back immediately is huge.
Right. If you really focus on the whole Honey Badger mechanic, I would agree with you.
Yeah. When you don't, and both the games that I remember most recently, we didn't. We focused more on being able to just have high damage and punch in the face really good. and when we could get Honey Badger out, we would get her out because without Reddy's there and it's a block. But overall, we didn't have to. Like the way we were playing X-23, it wasn't the primary goal.
Sure, it wasn't like a necessity.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. That's all of our kit cards.
Yeah. Let's move on to some aspect. Any standout? She came with a bunch of the play if there's a side scheme in the victory display.
Yeah, she has,
and they're all pretty good.
Yeah, my only thing was with her. It was hit and miss. Like, if I wasn't playing some of those really good, especially the one that comes in her kit, the specialized training, it was like, how many times would I really want to go put a player side scheme? Because if I'm playing aggression, the keeping the thwart down isn't my like highest priority. So it's like I want to focus on damage and a little less on thwart management. So I've got to get a side scheme in the victory display to make that card even usable.
Yeah, I feel like this is a cable card.
They're
cable cards.
What I was going to say. Yeah,
but I mean, of course, other heroes can utilize it, but it very much leans on that that cable hero
or multiplayer.
Or multiplayer. Yes, multiplayer. Because for me, I like playing side schemes, so I often have at least one in my deck. I guess depending on the hero. If I'm very attack focused, I might not. So these cards aren't that bad for my playstyle, but I can see them being pretty useless for others.
Sure. And with like when I would play, you'd usually be the thwart guy, and it didn't really. I wouldn't run as many player side schemes.
Yeah.
But I could still utilize that because hopefully you would be able to get one into the victory display.
Yeah. Is there any of the aggression cards in particular that really stood out to you that you would use more than once?
If we go strictly aggression, the one that I think I liked the most, surprisingly, was the player side scheme to keep them busy.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
It paired well with X-23 because it has the assault keyword.
Mm-hmm.
So you could soup up your attack, use it as your thwart value, and then be able to take a bunch of threat off the main scheme. Which the few times we played, it just seemed like it hit at the right time to really kind of save us.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it really is a solid aggression player side scheme. I really like the assault keyword right now.
And this one in particular lets you kind of sit and kind of whittle away at it. And if you do get in that bind where it's just like, oh, I can't do any thwarting this turn, but I can do a big attack with my basic attack value.
Yeah,
I can still take threat off the main scheme through this card.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So I'll definitely be running it for aggression decks. I think I like it overall more than the other one, which just got you a weapon. Because I think the versatility of this, of keep them busy, the fact that it has the assault keyword, I think makes it really, really strong.
Yeah, it helps those big attackers and not so much thwarters.
Yeah. I mean, just think about it. For one cost, a character with 3 attacks, say Hulk, can do an attack against it because it's assault. And now he's removing 5 threat from the main scheme.
Right.
That's pretty solid.
And I think it doesn't pair with this one, but the directed approach, which is in one cost upgrade, tactic upgrade, you attach it to a non-permanent side scheme, which gives the side scheme the assault keyword.
I didn't think I'd ever say this, but you beat me to it.
Yeah. I
bask in
did
that.
find I played this one more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I think out of the new aggression cards, I like Boom Boom and I like Richter allies, but I think the direct approach is my favorite because the versatility that it brings to a lot of heroes.
Right. And you mentioned those allies. I like Boom Boom and Richter. I just have to have the right deck or focus for them to like really have an urge to want to play them or need.
Yeah.
At 3, they're right on that borderline for me. 3 cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's pretty solid. I hate that it's a 1 cost, but it also makes sense that it's 1 cost. But
for the directed approach.
The directed approach, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. I've got to ask unless there's another player card you want to go over. The last one I want to go over is
now I'm mad. Okay, Ryan.
Oh, because you wanted it?
No, just is that the one you're gonna do?
Specialized training?
Oh no! I was gonna actually
you're
do the
gonna
card.
Now I'm mad.
Now I'm mad.
Go ahead and do that if you want to.
All I really have to say about with this card is I never played it because I try and not let my health get that far down unless I'm like running for the end zone.
Yeah, I think this fits with heroes that have high health, like a Hulk. I think it could be a pretty strong card.
True, because your half health is significantly higher.
Is the base health of other heroes,
right? And having a -1 thwart does 0 and zilch for heroes that have nothing to do with basic thwarts.
Yeah,
like your Thor or a Valkyrie. Like I could kind of see it in a deck with them just to kind of boost them up a little more.
Yeah,
like they could give, they could care less about a -1 thwart.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to your favorite card in the game.
Let's go. Specialized training, side scheme, 1 cost, 5 threat per player. When defeated, you get some awesome upgrades. You basically get the Red Skull campaign upgrades.
Pretty much.
Actually, probably even better. I think it's awesome. Surprisingly, when X-23 came out, I did not play specialized training for a little bit. I kind of forgot about it. Because Deadpool and X-23 came out at the same time, and we were still working with some other heroes. But when I finally got to the table, I was like, man, this card I feel like it's so overpowered.
Yeah, it's almost like an auto-include to like any
Yeah,
deck.
it's so good. So good. And I can't remember, we played a game, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to choose the Frontline Specialist upgrade. And that gave me 4 health points. And so every time your identity takes damage from an attack, you drew a card. And that worked out great. I was taking damage all the time.
Because you were one to take damage, so yeah.
Yeah. So it was that's it. You can find the one you want that works with your hero, and it's a great benefit.
That's the nice thing about this one, and I think I've talked about this before. You can, give your hero either something that makes it what it does well better, or kind of balance out something that it lacks.
Yeah, for sure.
It's and awesome. They all have a potential of a card draw. 1 extra card per turn is pretty nice.
Yeah. I think that's really all the cards. There is another player side scheme, Rally the Troops. It's a leadership one. It just heals your allies, which is pretty nice. So I think it's an okay leadership one.
I kind of would rather have seen it like 2 per player, because if you have no allies,
yeah, I do think it
or it heal 2. I don't know how you do that, but you'd have to be very ally heavy.
Yeah, if I had to choose between the 2 leadership, I would choose the one that came out with Cable. I can't remember its name right now, but
yeah,
that's the one I would probably go with.
The art's kind of cool. I like the Iceman in that one.
Yeah, it does have some pretty cool. I don't know who that blue-haired X-Men is.
I have no idea. it looks like you kind of have like a Colossus's arm in like the foreground.
Yeah, I
And
kind of
then
see
looks like
Iceman.
Storm's cape.
Yeah,
And
I think
then
that's Storm. Is that Gentle?
I think that's the Gentle character. That's his arm, and I'm not sure who that other character is down above the threat value.
Yeah. I don't like that version of Cyclops, though. His onesie.
Yeah, the onesie.
All right, man. Do you have any, did you want to mention anything about her obligation and or Lady Deathstrike?
I know we'd talked about, you had kind of glanced over there's a justice and a protection.
Oh, yeah.
Play only if you have side scheme in the victory. I do like the predicted ploy, the justice card. It says when a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel its win revealed effects. It's a 2-cost event. I like this one a lot. It's just a straight cancel. It's not a cancel and replace. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's better than the ones we have seen where it's like, cancel the win revealed, draw another one.
Right. And sometimes those cost like only one, but I'd rather pay the one extra resource not to deal with, some really bad treachery. Another attack, scheming out, shadow of the past.
Yeah.
And
No,
then,
it's pretty solid. All these side scheme victory display cards are pretty solid cards.
my only thing with the anticipated attack, the protection one, is I feel like it's slightly expensive. I know it gives you a tough right before they attack or the attack resolves, but
I do kind of see your point because I feel like there's a lot of piercing.
Yeah.
Within villains, more than say like a stun. I mean, there's a decent amount of steady and stalwart, but I feel like there's more piercing. But that could just be a feeling, maybe not actually accurate.
Yeah. At least it is a defense card, so you could kind of play with some of those defensive traded cards.
Yeah.
Mechanics or metas or whatever the kids call them these days.
Yeah. And it's got a cool art. That baseball bat that turned into a question mark.
That is kind of cool. So did he hit it over his head or his arm?
I think it's his head. I think he bonked it over his head.
Bonked it. That's a good term.
Bunk. All right. Anything you want to say about Lady Deathstrike? I think I've only encountered her once, so I don't really have a whole lot to say about her.
Let's take a look here. Lady Deathstrike. Player who defeated this minion discards the top of the cards of the encounter deck and takes 1 indirect damage for each boost icon. It's never fun when you finally defeat a minion and have to do something bad still.
Ooh, critical wound is pretty nasty. I never got it, but that is a nasty card.
That one's could be like game ending in some scenarios.
Yeah. Oof. I did come across Hack and Slash. Discard 1 random card from your hand and take damage equal to the number of printed resources on it. That was pretty nasty.
Yeah. I would say the average is probably only 1, but you could, get a double.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing multiplayer, maybe you get
a
character with some higher cost. Yeah.
What's the other one? Cyber mods. Attach Lady Deathstrike. You cannot discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. Put that minion into play engaged with you and attach this card. Forced interrupt. When attached minion would be discarded, shuffle it into the encounter deck instead. Not too bad, not too good.
Yeah. And then, of course, her side scheme, in the name of vengeance, everybody gets retaliate. Release all enemies. Get it? That's not very fun. So, but I will say, her self-isolation, her obligation is a little unique. It doesn't have like your typical flip to hero or flip to alter ego. You can discard it and stuff like that. It's search your hand, discard your deck, discard pile, play area, whatever. Find Honey Badger and place it face down under the obligation. And Yeah. If you cannot discard this card and deal yourself one face down encounter card. But the response is after you make a basic recovery, discard this obligation and Honey Badger. So it's not like it's devastating, but it's if you are focused on that Honey Badger, it could be pretty rough.
Yeah, it just kind of put a wrench in that whole mechanic of Honey Badger and that extra ready.
Yeah. I didn't find it particularly devastating when I got it.
It's interesting that it doesn't give you the flip to hero or alter ego.
I guess that would help in that case.
It would help because you flip down and recover right away and flip back up.
Yep. All right, man. Let's do some final thoughts. That's what the people really came.
All right. Are we like rating or just kind of giving our thoughts here?
Oh, well, we got to do our ratings too,
okay,
along with our final thoughts. X-23. I enjoyed playing her. I enjoyed the big basic attacks and being able to find the right combo between like Claw Mastery and her reading and using even Honey Badger, the X Claws. I felt pretty rounded and powerful with her basic stats. I really like being able to defend and have a good chance of reading. That was really nice. And I think she can play in other aspects too. I think you can play a leadership deck with Honey Badger and have no problem. You could play a Justice or Protection, probably really good with her. I don't think I've played Protection with her yet. But I think overall she's a pretty solid hero. I don't think she's the best hero, but I think she's a very solid hero. I would probably put her maybe B plus to A negative.
A negative.
Or A minus. It's her blood type, all right? She's taking too much damage, right?
I have very similar thoughts. I think she's mechanically a very fun character to play, especially how I like to play, because it's like hey, watch what I'm about to do. And you're able to like do this, play this card, boost the ability, go attack this, minion or minion or villain, ready up, do it again, jump over here, ready again, play a card that lets you ready, and just kind of see some crazy continual combo kind of plays. Kind of felt a little bit like a Quicksilver, where you're like, oh, I just readied like 4 times that turn. So
yeah,
I think thematically she was very fun to play. She can be a little technical in that aspect though, to making sure you're playing the right card at the right time or activating the right action or response at the right time to try and maximize all that she's wanting to do. But if you don't care about that, she's still, I would say, a pretty decent character probably for a newer player, because you would get a little bit introduced to some response and different things and windows and things, but it's not like crazy. It's pretty straightforward.
No, I agree. I think she is simple to understand, but there's a lot more to master.
Yes. She's easy to understand how to play her, and you can kind of play her simply, or you can try and get as technical and complex as you want to be.
Yeah. If you want to maximize her potential, you've got to really plan out when are you taking damage, when are you activating this, how are you going to play that. So,
the only other thing I think may bring down her rank for me a little bit is I felt like she really did well in aggression if you wanted to focus on X-23. If you wanted to focus on the Honey Badger, you would go more leadership and boosting Voltroning Honey Badger. I feel like she's not as strong in protection because you want her to take some damage. So, not that you can't play her in protection by any means. I just feel like it's not as suited for her.
Yeah, I think with protection, you'd have to do a non-traditional build. You need to focus more on the readying opportunities.
Right. Justice. I mean, who wants to play with the Justice aspect, really? So.
Oh my gosh. Get out of here.
I think if you wanted to, if you knew you had a scenario villain that you wanted to play, that you really needed to focus on some thwarting, then obviously you'd build a Justice deck and then use her Justice cards for that and use her kit cards for what she really wants to do with slashing people.
Yeah. What's that rating?
I found her fun to play and strong. So I was going to put her at an A-, like a low A tier.
Okay.
I don't think she's like extraordinary, like S tier, but the games with her were fun, and I never felt like really like, ooh, I'm getting close to losing. Like I felt like I had pretty much the scenarios in hand for most of the ones that I've done with her.
Yeah. And just to put some like context to my ratings, when I get to like the A tier, it starts changing from just how fun and enjoyable the character is and starts becoming like more technical of like how good are they actually overall. And I think this is where, so like Angel, we rated him so high because he could do so much, where her, she's very streamlined focus on her attack. She doesn't really have a pure card draw other than her alter ego ability. But that has to be in your discard pile, those cards.
Right.
And you have to be an alter ego to do that. And she doesn't have any status card abilities.
Right.
So there's no confuse, there's no stun, there's no tough. I mean, tough doesn't necessarily make sense for her, but it's still, there's none of those status card opportunities.
That's true. I can see that. So she's very susceptible to a stun.
Yeah, if she has anything that hampers her reading, it can be pretty hard on her on those turns.
I will say she has, I know I've referenced Quicksilver a couple times, but she has that kind of feel that if she gets stuck down, exhausted, it really is kind of like a turn dampener for her.
Yeah. I
mean, she can always ready, but you only get like one action that turn, whereas most turns, hopefully, you're having at least two basic actions.
Yeah, and if you're taking the damage to ready, you're hoping you're maximizing it. But if you're having to take damage first before having to done anything else, you really start kind of coming into the cost benefit analysis type stuff.
I would agree.
So, but yeah, I enjoyed her. I think she is different enough from Wolverine, similar to like a Iron Man, Ironheart, War Machine. They feel different enough that you're not like, I'm playing Wolverine 2.0.
Right. If I wanted to play Wolverine,
a different route.
Play Wolverine.
Yeah.
And I agree. A lot of fun. I think she's definitely one I can go back to, trying to find some fun ways to ready or give her some random trait that I could pair with something else to make her ready.
Yep. No, yeah, she's fun. I think this is a good pack. There's a lot of good cards, especially if you're thinking about getting this one or not. If you like Cable, I would probably recommend getting this one.
You're just pretty much telling our listeners that if you like this game, you should buy her just for specialized training.
That's right. Specialized training is definitely top tier player side scheme.
Yep.
It's almost like a cheat code.
A little bit.
So, well, cool, man.
Yeah. Good times. X-23. Champions approved.
Champions approved.
Now, if you didn't like our take on X-23, or if you did like our take, we'd love to hear about it. You can reach out to us at marvelchampionspod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, if you want to go from a chump to a champ, listen to the Marvel Champions podcast. Thanks.
See you later.